The Tissot PRX Automatic Chronograph strikes love, not fear, into the hearts of watch novices and seasoned watch collectors alike. How does it do that? Let's crunch some numbers first. It's a 42mm case, steel case, and the diameter of the bezel is 39mm, so also quite substantial. You want to know the height, of course. It's 14.54mm to be exact, and the lug-to-lug length is 46.5mm. And that means that on my 18.5 centimeter wrist, it looks like this. Also, something I need to mention is the weight of the watch. It's 184 grams. That's a lot of watch in every way. The final number I will give you is the price. Very important, of course. It's 1,795 euros here in the Netherlands. And that's a good price, but I will come back on the price later on. Tissot recently introduced these two chronographs, and they are the first PRX chronographs ever. There's the blue one with the white silvery subdials, and the one that I'm wearing, a panda with rose gold colored details, very chic. Tissot kicked off the new PRX collection with small quartz models and a larger version with the Powermatic 80 movement inside. And that one was actually a favorite, and still is a favorite, at the Fratello headquarters. But the PRX goes back way further. It is a 1970s original, but it didn't start life as the PRX. It was first called the C-Star, later dubbed PRX. Actually, the new PRX looks a lot like the old C-Star/PRX. And that is a good thing, because this 70s design, the luxury sports watch with the integrated bracelet, is the hottest watch around right now. You might recognize a lot of influences here, but please keep in mind that the first PRX/C-Star was from the 70s. When you say Gerald Genta, when you say Rolex Oyster Quartz, this is not just a rip-off. This is the design of that time. But of course, it kinda helps if you have a watch that looks like a Genta design, that has hints of Rolex Oyster Quartz. Maybe that is part of the attraction of this new PRX chrono as well. Let's have a look at the inside of the new PRX, and believe it or not, the insides, otherwise known as the movement, also has its roots in the 1970s. What you get in the PRX Automatic Chronograph is pretty much self-explanatory. Of course, you get an automatic chronograph movement. It's an ETA-made movement. ETA is, as Tissot is, part of the mighty Swatch Group, but this movement is based on the Valjoux 7753, which in return is based on the famous 7750 Valjoux. You might have heard of that movement. Okay, let me explain a little bit about the 7750 for those who are not in the know. The Valjoux 7750 was made by Valjoux, not by ETA. It was designed in the 70s, it came out in 1973, and it was an answer to the 1969 El Primero automatic chronograph movement. Valjoux decided to also have something that would wind itself automatically. So they started with a manual movement, added a rotor, and then the 7750 came out. Valjoux was bought by ETA, the ETA 7750 was born, and millions, and I mean literally millions of those movements were made. Some people look down at the Valjoux 7750 because they only want manufacturer in-house built chronographs. But please remember that this, even this, because it is based essentially on that movement, is reliable, it's sturdy, and it's easy to service. Take this to a watchmaker and he will help you if something is wrong with the movement. But this is an upgraded version of that 7750, or actually the 7753 movement. And it is a 4 Hz movement, but it has an upgraded power reserve of 60 hours. It used to be 48, now it's 60. And it's also nicely decorated. You get some perlage and a lovely black rotor. You want to know how it operates. Well, it's a chronograph, so start, stop, and reset. But it feels good. It feels sturdy, it feels solid, it does the job. What about the date between 4 and 5? Some people hate dates on chronographs. I don't really mind, but sometimes when they're at 3 o'clock, they kind of mess up the balance of the subdials and the dial and the whole watch in the end. But because the date is in between the 4 and the 5, it doesn't mess up the indexes because it's right in between. It doesn't touch the subdials. So here it kind of works, if you ask me. How do you set the date? Not with the crown, but with a little hidden pusher on the side of the case. Is it convenient? If you have a pen with you, it is. Otherwise, not so much. You know everything there is to know about the insides, I guess. It's time to move on to the bracelet on the outside, the integrated bracelet. Well, it has a nice shape and taper. It's quite thin, and there's a 2-fold butterfly clasp that looks very clean on the outside, and it has 2 pushers to open it. And just for reference, I have a 18.5 centimeter wrist, and this is what you get. Since it's a sports watch, you want to know how water resistant it is. 100 meters, and that is despite not having a screw down crown or screw down pushers. So you can go into the water with it. I wouldn't suggest operating the chrono when you're underwater, but who does that anyway? So let's wrap it up. Final thoughts. As I said, this is a watch that speaks to both people who are deep into watches and people who are new to the world. Best example of how this watch speaks to someone who has been around watches for quite a while is RJ. He ordered this version. Why did he order this version? Well, because it looks great, it has a good movement, and price-wise, it also makes sense. Strangely enough, those are the exact reasons why people who are new to the watch game love this watch. Because it looks the cat's pajamas, it has the exact looks everyone is after now. It's the integrated sports watch look. And when you're new to the watch world, you will also like it because of the looks, the very hot integrated sports watch looks. It has a mechanical movement and it shows it, which is also nice. If you spend almost 2K on a watch, you really want to know that it is there, that beating hard. And what is also important, it is quite chunky. Some people say it's too chunky. But when you're new to this world, you don't want something very small and refined. You really have to understand and know about and read about. You want something that is just there. And that's the good thing with both versions. They're really there. So they're very comforting. And on top of it all, they're very, very well made. And what is also a nice touch, it is sporty, it is dressy, it is classy. You can wear it with almost anything. Flip-flops, not so much. Okay, I'll take that back about the flip-flops. Also with flip-flops, but then it has to be the blue version. What do you think of the blue and panda PRX Automatic Chronograph? Do you like them? You don't like them? Are you waiting for another dial version? Please let me know below in the comments. And also like, subscribe, and come back, and I'll see you real soon.